Hello and welcome to the Local Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Johnson. The Local Leaders Podcast provides a platform for successful business owners to share their stories, their experiences, their advice, and their ideas in order to help our listeners achieve more success in their business and in their lives. Get ready, another great show is coming up. Good afternoon and welcome to the Local Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Johnson, and today I'm thrilled and excited to have this awesome duo of ladies with us from Squeeze In, and we've got Kay Salerno and we've got Shila Morris. Welcome, ladies, and thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. We're excited.
Absolutely thrilled.
Well, I am so excited when I got Shila's email and originally, and she had responded, and we started talking. I heard the story and learned a little bit more about the business. It was just super cool, kind of what you guys have done. You've had longevity in the business, and you've been able to grow the business. And our audience is really often looking to do just that. So before I get into the growth piece, do one of you want to share kind of the story of the business?
We would love to share. The Squeeze In is a breakfast and lunch restaurant open from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m., 7 days a week. And we started in Truckee, California, which is an adorable little ski town in Lake Tahoe, nestled in the Sierra Nevada mountains. And it opened in 1974. It's been a Truckee institution ever since, including our little family who would drive up from Reno to have a breakfast there. And our parents absolutely fell in love with the restaurant.
They loved it so much that when I was 10 and Shila was 17, they decided to completely upend our lives and we became a restaurant family. I mean, they did the rational thing that anybody with a dream does, right? Quit their careers, called in every favor they had, cashed in their savings to retirement, and then bought a restaurant, which at the time we had no idea was actually really far in the hole. No systems. They didn't accept credit cards. There was an accountant, $1 for you, $1 for me, that was happening behind the door. There wasn't even a telephone. We had a pay phone in the back that would come through the restaurant. So we took on a dream as a family, but man, that place needed a lot of work.
It did. So that's what our family got to work on doing. And we purchased the restaurant in 2003. And from there just became that restaurant family, working the floor, and then at night washing the aprons and baking the biscuits at home, and then turning the key the next day and running the restaurant, and slowly began implementing systems into place, including scheduling, including credit cards, including a soda machine, including marketing. And we were able to get to the point where we were ready to grow. So we opened a second location in our hometown, which is Reno, Nevada, about 30 miles over the Nevada-California border from Truckee. And, 2008, I'm sure all of you listeners can remember the rich economic climate that was 2008, and opening a high-end breakfast, brunch, mimosa-style restaurant during those times was really tough. But we knew that with strategic marketing, we didn't need everyone to love us. We just needed a small group of raving fans. So that's what we focused on.
And ultimately, that small group of raving fans helped to carry us into our third location, our fourth location, our fifth, and then into franchising. And now today, there are 11 locations across 4 states. 5 of them are in our family, or 6 of them are in our family pack, and 5 of them are franchise locations, and we are the franchisor.
About 4 years ago, our parents got to retire. So now Kay and I actively run and manage the business, 186 employees, and mom and dad get to live the dream life on the coast of Oregon.
Oh my gosh, that is an amazing story and told so well. Thank you for sharing that. Our audience is going to love it, and hopefully that message and that information is going to reach people who haven't had the opportunity to dine with you. And I can't imagine if I'm in that area passing up on the opportunity. You guys are amazing, and in telling the story, one of the things you mentioned, and it's something I've been talking about lately on the show, is kind of, can you tell me? Usually we talk about challenges here, but I'm going to divert just a little bit. Can you tell me how did you know you were ready for that second location? So you got the first one, you put all that sweat equity in, fixing everything that you had bought. How did you know it was time? Was it a sales thing that you were looking at, or what?
There was kind of a combination of factors that were at play, right? Like the perfect storm has to have all kinds of different weather events that happen in between in order to get it just right.
Right.
But we had been looking at an additional opportunity for some time because we had such a strong following coming from Truckee, which is a 30-minute satellite town outside of Reno, Nevada. There was a strong following already in place in the Reno market for us, and lots of people coming in the door saying, open the second location.
Right. So there was lots of folks asking for it, but personally and within the family four walls, there was a lot of conversation around, let's not have all of our eggs in one basket, and, pun fully intended. But, if a fire comes through historic Truckee, right, we're in a 120-year-old building and everything goes away, our whole business goes away. If something happens, like everything is on the line in the one restaurant. So there was this need to want to diversify our entrepreneurial portfolio as a family so that we could weather storms better and be stronger. And so that was really one of our desires. We originally thought we needed to go the opposite direction from Truckee. We thought we needed to go deeper into California towards Sacramento, but because we had started a loyalty club, collecting people's email addresses and giving them birthday gifts and things, we were able to plot all of the addresses on that loyalty club. And we saw, holy smoke, all of those knocks on the door saying open another one aren't coming from Sacramento, they're coming from Reno. And that's when we realized that we had this opportunity, because we were from Reno, that we could open in our hometown. Now it was a struggle, but the desire was there, and we were able to make it through.
That is awesome. And talk about a disaster planning kind of mechanism. The diversification is a great disaster planning tool, especially with the fires in California. Being a challenge along with everything else. And let me set the stage for people who don't know you. That first location in Truckee, as I read on your website, did I read 10 feet?
Yeah, it's 11.5 feet wide,
okay,
and like 40 feet deep. So it's like a hallway with tables in it. You literally have to squeeze in to dine with us.
And is that where the name came from?
Exactly. And it was a bunch of hippie ski bums back in the 70s who wanted to create a cool, groovy spot to have omelets together and called it the Squeeze In. So
fun fact, the original menu said streakers eat free, and word on the street is some people actually did that.
Oh my gosh, that is crazy. Imagine that today.
It wouldn't fly.
No. Not even in California, that's not going to fly. That is so awesome, and it's great that you've been able to expand the business. And so let me backtrack off growth a minute and go back to kind of challenges along the way outside of having to go in and kind of redo everything and fix everything that was broken. What other challenges have you run into over the years? And we can talk about COVID as well if you'd like, but were there any significant challenges you had to overcome?
So
what challenges haven't we run into, I think is a better question. Honestly,
30 minutes, remember?
The other day. And this, it gets crazy. The stories honestly feel unreal at times. Like last year, somebody stole our company vehicle, an employee stole our company vehicle, and our local PD didn't care. They were like, they wouldn't do anything about it. And so we got our detective hats on, and we figured out where the vehicle was, and we went and we got it back. So it's from little things like that to major challenges.
Oh, well, I was going to say too, probably all of your listeners, we've had massive financial issues and struggles and challenges along the way. Going to open that second location in 2008, the desire and the dream and the growth and the diversification is great to talk about that. But real talk is the banks weren't funding anybody. Investors were falling through the cracks. We had maxed everything as a family. Probably a lot of you can relate to this. It was literally we had to open because we were out of money. We had to go to grandma and grandpa and beg for a final $30,000 loan just to get that place open. We couldn't afford a microwave on the first day. We were unwrapping dishes, right? Those war stories that everybody has from doing something like that. The financial challenges were a lot. Then we got the doors open and revenue started, but it was hard. It was tough, but we managed to kind of get through it by building the marketing piece. You fast forward, then we just kept growing at that pace. We kept growing, and we would have the challenge at every new location about finances. And so we got really creative. One of the things that we did was asked people, we had heard the idea about doing a VIP club where you sell large gift cards and you fundraise money. So we would say buy $1,000 gift card for $800 and you get to come to a VIP party and do a special thing and get a shirt and all kinds of different things. And we needed to raise like the last $20,000 for that location. We ended up raising the first time we did this $36,000. People loved it. And so when we opened location number 4, we did it again and we got $42,000 this time. And we had 2 different levels and people loved it. And then the next year, everyone said, well, aren't you guys going to do that again? Because our local paper had written it up about it. And, you know, if somebody's saying, can you take my money? You say, sure. So we did it again, just as a VIP club. And ultimately those programs over the next 7 years for us raised way over $100,000 that helped fund projects like patio remodels or new locations or those kinds of things, and created this group of people that were, I mean, heavily invested. There were 3 years in a row we sold a $5,000 package and people bought it because they loved being part of something like this. But the financial challenges have been a constant thread through all of it, as is the restaurant industry. In 2013, we got to the point where we knew we weren't going to make it through the winter and we weren't going to make payroll if we didn't do something drastic. So mom and dad actually moved into my living room when I had 3-year-old twins and a newborn baby. And we had to live together through that winter just so that we could, you know, cover it for the employees. So there's all kinds of battle scars behind the massive success.
That is something I have not heard any entrepreneur talk about yet, you know, doing some kind of creative fundraising like that. And this was pre all the fundraising sites, right?
Yep, 2009, 2010, 2011. We retired it in 2018. So
that's an awesome strategy, and it's really a testament to getting creative when it comes to, you know, funding or bringing capital into the business and trying to find a way to make it grow, or trying to make a way to make the business grow is getting creative on the funding side. And there's numerous ways to do that, and some people fail to think outside the box, and you guys are a great testament to getting outside the comfort zone to find a way to make it happen. And that makes me think about kind of one of the things I like to ask owners about, and I'll just jump over to that. I'm jumping all over the place, so I apologize. But you know, what do you guys look at like on a daily basis or a weekly basis to kind of determine how successful the business is for that day, that week? Are you looking at sales? Are you looking at cost? Are you looking at profits? What is it that kind of that you drive toward?
There are a few metrics that we really focus on in the restaurants, one of which, especially since we lead other people and like to keep our teams focused on serving our guests and the people in the restaurant, is guest count. Now, a lot of people will do table turns or they'll call it plates that got served. But we're really, we really believe in the power of treating our numbers as the people that they are, right? Because without the people who walk in that door and make the decision to dine with you, you got nothing. So we look at guest counts for the health, for how our health of our marketing is doing. And then we look at our prime cost to look at the health of how the business is doing. And the prime cost is your labor plus your cost of goods as a percentage of sales. So it's everything that you can control, right? Like labor, we can move the dial up or we can move it down. Cost of goods sold, we can move that dial up and down. We can't do much about the rent. We're locked into, you know, leases and things like that, the overhead, the electricity, but we know that those are the 2 most variable factors. And in a lot of restaurants, they happen to eat up most of your profits. And so really focusing down on that prime cost being those 2 factors, your labor cost plus your cost of goods sold as a percentage of sales, plus our daily guest count. So from a daily level, the guest counts. From a weekly and a monthly level, we're really focused on prime cost.
That's awesome, and a very succinct answer. I appreciate you sharing that, because it's funny, and it was not funny, but it's interesting how different owners look at different metrics and different things are important to them. And our listeners tend to like that and kind of compare themselves to what you guys are doing and what others are doing to measure the success of their business. So we talked a lot, or a lot of things you talked about had to do with marketing. And I'm curious as to how did you come up with the marketing mix that you're utilizing? What are you doing exactly? And do you have any plans to change up or to do anything different?
Well, we definitely have a heavy focus on marketing. We see the value of it. We know many business owners have to be convinced that marketing is important, but we really know that you can be the very best leader with the very tastiest food in an amazing environment with solid operations and good financials. But if you do not have people coming in the door and you do not have strong marketing, you cannot succeed. So it really is that crucial component, and it can act like a faucet for your business. If things are getting low and you need a boost, or right, the week after Christmas or the week after New Year's Day, things go slow, you can turn it back on. You can use it as a faucet. It's a really helpful tool in your business repertoire. So we focus on marketing quite a bit in a few different primary areas. The first one is our loyalty club. That's, you can go as sophisticated as a phone app with a star system. You can go as old school as a clipboard with an email list, but whatever you choose, listeners, if you take nothing else away from this, start a loyalty club. It is like the Chinese proverb, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. Start collecting information on your guests and building a relationship with them. Have a weekly email newsletter. We did a mailed newsletter for almost a decade to our list of folks, and they have been able to mobilize for us in several different ways that truly have saved our business and made major difference. So the loyalty club is one of our first aspects. Our second aspect of marketing that's important to us is obviously online presence, which includes social media and review sites. So we are responding to pretty much every review that's posted anywhere online, good or bad, because it shows that the owner cares and is demonstrating that. We're on Facebook and Instagram quite a bit, and we have been for a long time. We were featured in the New York Times in 2009 and in 2012 for our social media innovation and usage, because we see the value in having that online presence and building relationship with our guests. And then finally, our third prong of marketing is really community involvement, donating to every charity that asks for a gift certificate, being major sponsors at some of the big community events, going out there and making those relationships and adding value to our community, and being a voice in our local news or organizations for the business owners at large, and keeping it obviously very positive, but being that valuable piece and prominent piece to our community. Those three pieces have really set us up for success in ways that other business owners haven't gotten to have the benefit from.
That's awesome, and it reminds me of another conversation I had today, where the gentleman was talking about systems. Having the systems in place. You guys mentioned that early on, but secondly, the first rule of any system is keep it simple. That's a three-pronged approach on marketing that is not overcomplicated. And any of our listeners out there can do it. And you've got to find time to devote to continue to bring in that marketplace, to differentiate yourself and bring in customers. And I love the fact that your guest count is a critical metric, because it's a direct reflection of that marketing effort, and you can kind of put the effort out and you can see the result. And I'm sure it's very tangible on paper. How do you guys, as partners, how do you pick what are your roles? Are your roles very separate in the business, or do you guys intermingle a lot? I think I know the answer.
We're not just sisters, but we are best friends. And we like to say that we're twins in spirit, but we are not actual twins, though we do look like we are twins. Shila is 7 years my senior, which means she will forever and always be our boss. So Shila's the leader. I've got a lot of due power on my back end, but we work very well together as a leadership team.
In the restaurant space, we definitely treat it that way. I'm the leader, but Kay is absolutely critical to the leadership of this company. And we do make most decisions together. If there is some kind of disagreement and it's got to come down to somebody, that's me. But honestly, that's pretty rare. We talk things through, we work things through together, and we really have a strong relationship that the business benefits from.
That's amazing. How do you guys handle or manage or do you have like a good balance with work and your life? Are you able to balance that out these days?
Well, seeing as our parents purchased the original location when I was just 10 years old and Shai was 17, we have never known family relationship really outside of business relationship. And so we kind of got to grow up learning the hard lessons on what that would take. And, sometimes it means that we have to, when we're together and we have all of our children around and there's a difficult situation happening, that we've got to see how that's impacting our kids and take ourselves away from the situation or put to bed the work conversation so we can be present with our families. So we learned a lot together, but the relationship, I know for me, has been around just about as long as I can remember.
We also really try to focus a lot on harmony versus balance because, balance takes a lot of effort and you're trying to juggle and balance all of the things. Harmony means sometimes you got to work 20 hours straight on the restaurant. And sometimes you got to go to Disneyland with your kids for a week and unplug. And so finding that harmony between the two allows us to spend our most quality time on both.
That's awesome. Great way to look at it. And I like the word harmony instead of balance. That just feels better. And kind of leads me to, as you were speaking, I started thinking about, I'm thinking about leadership and some different things, but I want to switch gears for just a minute. We've got maybe 5 to 7, 8 minutes left. Can you share a little bit about how you guys, you said 186 employees, I think. I can't see my note over here. But what are you doing from a training perspective, and how important is that in consistency and delivering the experience?
I feel like we're always working on our training efforts for sure. But what the consistency is so important from each restaurant to each restaurant. And we're lucky enough now to be multi-unit, right? So we can send new people into a kitchen with our most experienced cooks to train before they head to their satellite location, which has been really cool to see kind of how we have these little training centers. In fact, we just recently did a major hiring initiative. The labor shortage here in the US has been affecting everyone. We were certainly not affected by that, had to do a major community plea and ask for applications. But the good news is that we did it, and we've got our restaurants open and we're working and we're operating. But the training really looked like having to kind of send these packs of people through the kitchens that were up and running with the most experienced chefs in order to give them that feel. The other thing that we do with training is that we don't let anybody come in through the doors without giving them something called a live audition first. So we live audition anyone. Of course, you get paid for the time that you work, but you come in after your interview and you live audition, because somebody might be great in an interview, but if they get out on the floor and they are terrified of the guest and they just can't approach the tables, they're not going to last very long in the environment. Same thing inside our kitchens. If that person gets into the kitchen and they have 3 tickets up in the window and that freaks them out, they're never going to last on a Sunday when they've got a 15 ticket load and more are coming and it doesn't stop until 2 p.m. And so we really are able to gauge people and how they're going to interact with our team, and our highly fast-paced environment can be a little high stress sometimes. Are they going to be able to keep the chipper attitude, keep that good spirit going, and be able to move forward? So the live audition process has been big in helping us to select the right candidates.
I love that. And that's a great piece of advice to owners out there. And as you said, the industry is really has been challenged, especially in the restaurant or food service business, with the staffing issues. And there's a lot of different approaches. A lot of people have changed hours, reduced hours, dropped days, et cetera. And unfortunately, you have to do what you have to do. But, running a business with 186 employees takes a lot of effort in developing those people. First you got to recruit them, then you got to retain them. And it looks like you guys have done a fantastic job at doing that. So congratulations. And I'm sure you couldn't have gotten where you are today without a great team.
Oh, we have the best team. I mean, there's so many different little pods of them. Each location has incredible team members and associates. And then they're led by a general manager, a head chef, and an assistant manager. And then here where we are right now is our headquarters office. And we've got about 5 folks who work here full time. We've got an HR person. We've got a repair person who just goes and repairs all the stuff between the 6 locations. We've got an operations person person, and we've got accounting, we have marketing, of course. We've got all of these working components here in the headquarters office, because what we realize is if you're a single unit, you can touch every table and you can ensure every guest experience. And even at 2 units, we could do that because we had enough family to spread us out. By 3 and by 4, we realized that we had to start taking care of the associates. And that was going to be our new focus, because they were the ones that now had to take care of the guests. And at this point, we're at the point where we have to take care of our headquarters team, who takes care of the managers teams, who take care of the associate teams, who take care of the guests. And so our best investment is to invest in that core team that's right around us, our headquarters team. But we do lots of events through the year that to try and invest in our team and show our appreciation, and have retreats and things to help them grow in their leadership and in their value, and in having difficult communications and understanding processes and those kinds of things. And we think that's really important.
That is great. I appreciate you sharing that, and I'm sure your associates, employees will be grateful as well. That employees never get enough. Well, often don't get enough credit, and they are the ones on the front lines and dealing with customers. So, as we kind of come toward a close, on this conversation, I just thought I'd throw out an open-ended question about business advice for that entrepreneur who maybe is on the edge, on the precipice of moving forward with a new concept, a new project. What advice would you give them? And any other pearls of wisdom, as my mother would have said, that you might throw out there to our audience?
Well, if you're on the verge of a second location or opening something new, just go ahead and get your expectations for how much money it's going to cost, how much time it's going to take. Put that down on a piece of paper. And then you want to look at that and you want to take it and you want to go, okay, what's 30% of that? And then add about 30% of what you think it's going to be to that number. So if you're saying to yourself right now, okay, I'm going to go open my brand new restaurant. It's going to cost me $100,000. I have everything worked out. You want to earmark yourself about $130,000. If you say it's going to take me 1 year to make it happen, be ready to spend 1.25 years, if not more, maybe 2 years to make it happen. Because the further we get down the path, the more that we realize that things take longer than you think they're going to, and they're going to cost more than you think that they're going to. So don't find yourself in a money hole because you didn't properly prepare for the investment that it takes to create a business.
I would add to that, if those of you who are considering opening a second location, clearly that's the path that we followed with our family business, and it has been successful, but it's also been, as you heard, turbulent. And there is so much more roller coaster in the last 18 years that you guys didn't hear anything about.
Not even mentioning the last 18 months.
Right. Ups and downs and all of it. But what we tell a lot of business owners when we're talking to them is don't get romantic about the second location because some great communicating real estate agent told you that your location would be great in this spot, and look at these traffic numbers and look at this opportunity right now. Their job is to sell the spot. Their job isn't to go find you the best second location. So if you are serious about a second location, don't let it be one of those opportunity things. Now, opportunities come through the universe. You should follow your intuition. Just do your homework is what we're saying. But what might be more beneficial and more profitable and far less painful is to look at your current business and say, am I maximizing everything already in this business? Am I already hitting the numbers that I like? Am I already being profitable in the way that I can? Am I already maximizing every resource here? Because it will be a lot less work to just invest in what you've got and see if you can double the business there, or get creative there, or find, like, if you're not making money in one location or just barely surviving, adding a second one is not going to miraculously fix the first one. And we see this mistake time and time again. We've made it time and time again. You heard, right, the financial up and down and getting through the summers, which is our harvest season, and then fretting through the winters. Nobody wants to live in that cycle. So if you're there right now, we would encourage you, look at your current operation and see, are there things you could tighten there that would help you grow without growing into a second space?
Finally, just want to add, keep your chin up. Like, this stuff is really hard. The restaurant industry is no joke. It is whenever we tell people, oh, we own restaurants, it's like, oh man, what?
Are you crazy?
Are you okay? Right? Like, it's because you have to have a love for what we do in order to make this little money working this hard. And so just keep your chin up. It is just as hard for every other restaurant owner out there. And so a lot of us have a tendency to get discouraged thinking we're the only ones facing problems. But this is a really freaking difficult industry in which 95% of restaurants that start fail within the first 5 years. And so
if you're making it, like, you did it.
You're there. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. You're doing better than most. That's A work.
That is
work.
A+.
Yeah, and as I had one owner tell me before when we were talking about growth and expansion and all that, he's like, hey, just remember, you know, you're trading time for money. Every time you think about growth, you know, whatever path you take to get there, and you know, you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? I want to give you one minute here to just kind of do a quick to tell us real quickly about the franchise opportunity or anything that you might want to say about that, so that we can get that word out, because you guys are in the franchising business, and Squeeze In is an awesome opportunity. So what would you say to that?
Well, the Squeeze In is an awesome opportunity for so many reasons. If you are one of the crazy ones out there listening and say, I do love the hospitality industry and I do love the restaurant industry, what's great about the Squeeze In model is that it is breakfast and lunch. So it is 7 hours a day. It is closed at 2 o'clock. It is home with your family for dinner. It's not dealing with a bar crowd. There's no wine list. There's no expensive meats in your fridge. There's no shift turnover. It's 49 operating hours a week. And the profitability on a brunch restaurant that comes with Bloody Marys and mimosas is really attractive and can be that difference maker. Plus breakfast is fun, right? Like it's a really fun concept. You can sign the wall with a Sharpie. We've got really neat, fun things. But if you want to find out more about Squeeze In, head over to squeezein.com, SQUEEZEIN.com, and you can find out information there. And if you want to find out more about Kay and I, we would love to see you over on Instagram or Facebook. You can find us Kay and Shy, KAY &SHI.
Beautiful. Very well said. And thank you so much, ladies, Kay and Shila, for being on the show today. Our audience, I'm sure, is going to just soak in all the great advice that you had to share. And we are just very appreciative for you taking time to share your experiences and your knowledge and your wisdom over the years of being in the food industry with our audience. So thank you again for being here.
You got it, Jeff. It was our pleasure.
An honor, truly. Thank you.
Thank you. And listeners, thank you again for joining us on Local Leaders Podcast. We hope that you enjoyed this episode and that you'll come back. We're going to be releasing new episodes every Monday and every Wednesday, starting the week of August 16th. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you very much.